Hi everyone and welcome to a new episode of Day's Podcast along with a new video. I want to thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing, viewing, watching, and listening. I truly appreciate it. We will be doing more exclusive episodes on Patreon and Spotify, along with continuing on with making free episodes and videos. So what I want to do today with you all is talk about All I Want Is You by Miguel. Um, I've been meaning to actually talk about not just Miguel, but a few just R&B and hip hop, or even just alternative artists, pop artists too. So we will definitely this is just reassuring you guys that we will definitely be branching out a bit more on what we will be talking about as far as different topics because there is more to talk about. Why not? So let's get into it. All I Want Is You is the debut studio album by American R&B singer Miguel. It was released on November 30th, 2010 by Black Ice Records, by Storm Entertainment, and Jive Records. After signing to by Storm in 2007, Miguel recorded the album with producers Dre and Vital, Fisticuffs, Fisticuffs, um, Happy Perez, State of Emergency, and Salam Remy. It was shelved by Jive for 2 years after legal issues with the singer's former production company. Um, yeah, that happens with artists, unfortunately. I want to make that clear. It's not like a Miguel thing. Like, that really be happening with a lot of artists. Like, you'd be surprised on projects that come out where you're like, that couldn't have been shelved. I'll give y'all a minute. Like, there be albums we be getting, and you wouldn't even realize, like, because artists took the time to kind of shape it a certain way, it wasn't shelved no more. If anything, it was put into a much bigger and broader sense of what it probably was, to where it was even better than what it would have been because it could have been shelved. Okay? Because, if it ain't hitting to certain labels, they ain't gonna put it out. And they be serious about that. We really see that with a lot of artists where it's just like, we had an album, but it was shelved. Or we had singles, but we never put them out. It's horrible. Selling poorly upon its release, it became sleeper hit on the Billboard 200 with the help of singles such as the title track and Sure Thing. By September 2012, it sold 404,000 copies. That's not too bad. Within 2 years, when you say to yourself, there's more that you're trying and going to give, as opposed to the fact that it's sold. There be times that artists put out, even just in recent times now, where this is 2010, there's artists now in 2025 or even 2024, recent times, or even just the single or even the album may not go past 500,000 in its first week. And there were times albums went well past 500,000, past 600,000. There'd be times albums back in the day when I was a baby would go beyond 1 million copies. Mariah Carey and Prince and Whitney and of course Michael, Madonna, of course. Where you say, we're not leaving out Janet. Hell no. Don't get me started on a list. All I can say is this: when those worldwide units be saying over 20 million and more, that's people buying multiple copies. Back in the day, people used to really buy multiple copies because sometimes the CD or the cassette, something would get jammed or scratched up and you needed to make sure you had your extra copy. With that being said, you know, it's not like that now. People may stream the song or the album or get their cute copy digitally or a vinyl. And yeah, if there's this physical release, they'll do that too. But, you know, I can't say that 404,000 copies in 2 years is bad. It's not as bad as it is now, because people are trying to even break gold with just streams along with that, you know? So, All I Want Is You really, it received positive reviews. Critics found some of the music inconsistent, but praised Miguel's singing and songwriting abilities while drawing comparisons to Prince. Mm-hmm. Miguel toured in promotion of the album as a supporting act to fellow R&B singers Usher and Trey Songz. So yes, there was early comparisons when it came to Miguel and Prince, and I think that it wasn't completely bad. I think that we love Prince, and we know that um, inspiration comes from all types of you know all types of sources, all different ways. Um, Miguel had written the R&B song "Sure Thing," which was pitched to music executive Mark Pitts as a candidate for the singer um, Usher's tentative album. Pitts was impressed by both Sure Thing and Quickie, as well as Miguel's performance in person, and signed him to a recording contract instead of offering the songs to Usher. Okay. He came and performed and just had no fear. I loved him, Pitts later said to Miguel. He was like Elvis. He was all over the place at the time, but it was just different. With a little tweaking, this could be special. So yeah, there be times you could be doing writing and singing a song or a demo for a producer or a music executive, and they'll be like, I know that you want this for them, and they may go off with this, but you're the star. You don't need these people to define what the fuck you're trying to show me right now. You do that. Okay? And that's the truth. I think in 2025, and even in recent times, people have been realizing, even through the TikTok, that even if it's just something as silly as whatever the hell's going on that shouldn't be going on, people engage in it. So you say to yourself, when it comes to true talent, why should you not benefit with yourself from yourself? Like, yes, it's great to write for people. It's great to have people around you give you the extra spice to whatever you may be doing. But if you're the star, why not just do it yourself? Be you. And I will be the testament and living proof of that, among others that are doing it as well. Because yes, I am out here really doing a podcast on my own, and have been for almost 2 years. Yes. And I know there are episodes that still need to go on. So we will continue. Okay. So after signing in 2007 to Pitt's Jive Records imprint label, by Storm Entertainment. So he had an imprint label with Jive. Miguel began recording his first album, All I Want Is You. So he signed with his imprint label that is attached with Jive for this album. And I feel like, I'm not even sure whether Miguel later on had started his own imprint, but I know that at this time and soon after, there were artists that were, or even a little before, starting to just kind of get into the fact that, you know what, I can have my own imprint. And it's like, yes, you can. You never could have not had an imprint. Okay? Recording sessions took place at Black Mango Studios in Van Nuys, California. Germano Studios in New York City, Glenwood Studios and Instrument Zoo in Miami, Florida, Studio 609 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and the gym in Los Angeles, California. So he's been in Cali, Miami, Philly, and yeah, for just recording. But yeah, as far as after the recording's completion, legal issues with Miguel's former production company prevented the album from being released for 2 years. During this period, Miguel continued working with various underground acts and writing songs for mainstream recording artists, including Johnson & Johnson, Asher Roth, Jaheim, and Usher. By Storm Entertainment and Jive eventually released the album on November 30th, 2010. It sold poorly at first, with first week sales of 11,000 copies and a chart debut of number 109 on the Billboard 200. Because I know you guys want to know my commentary, child. So my thing is, like I said in previous videos, there be times, and this is just another example from what I've said, even with people that had soon went independent or had labels that you would think, oh my God, they're gonna work something out with me in this period of time, because we don't think that other things are going on. And soon as everything kind of comes into play, there's all the other things going on, and it kind of gets overshadowed. But this was more or less of a, not more of a overshadowing thing, but like, this was like, it didn't, like, I keep saying there's a sense of marketing and promotion, like with the sense of there being legal issues where the sound and the album itself is contained in a sense of it being released for a period of time. People don't always get to realize the sake of when an album is made, how it's made, how long it took. It'll release and be heard where it seems as though, oh my God, they did this yesterday, or they did this last week. It took me some time to realize how Bad and Thriller took 5 years between. And I didn't want to always accept it, because I said to myself, wow, it took 5 years. Why? But it's like, well, no, first of all, he had featurettes. He was sweeping Grammys. And he was touring with his brothers. And then he started to record. Okay? All in a matter of 3 years from Thriller. Okay? And then, for the last 2 years, it was going to be part of Thriller that was going to not even have a sense of it being its own album. We're talking about Bad here. So you kind of say to yourself, like, the artistic view of things over time can be tampered when it's not being fully promoted. And I believe Michael had said that with Invincible as well, where it's just like, well, wait a minute now. Everywhere else, everybody loves it. What's going on around here? So this is a sense of it being, not that anyone wouldn't have loved this album. They wasn't able to reach the album enough. After falling off of the chart for 3 weeks, it re-entered and climbed the Billboard 200 for 22 weeks before peaking at 37 on May 14th, 2011. So, like I said, it took about 6-7 months before, people started to really kind of go into the store and really see, like, wait a minute, who's Miguel? What's this album about? The album became a sleeper hit, and by September 2012, literally right before he's releasing Kaleidoscope Dream, the album had sold 404,000 copies, according to Nielsen SoundScan. The album has been certified platinum by the Recording Academy as well. But yeah, according to Miguel, Jive marketed him as a typical R&B artist. Okay? During their promotion of All I Want Is You. Now, didn't I say that? Typical R&B artist. Keywords. That album was a huge learning experience. I left the marketing of my album and me as an artist up to the discretion of the label. I can't really blame them for that because that's what they know, but that's not what my lifestyle was. 4 singles was released from the album: the title track All I Want Is You, Sure Thing, Quickie, and Girls Like You. As the title track gradually received radio play, Miguel began touring as a supporting act for Usher and Trey Songz. By May 2011, All I Want Is You and Sure Thing had reached a combined digital and slash mobile sales of over 825,000 units. Um, so yeah, like he wanted to have control of what the album would be able to do when it came to how it was being released. But based on, like I said, an imprint within an attachment of a label, it's complicated. And I don't know all the legal sense of it all, so I'm not going to just be talking like I know. I'm just talking from based off of what's being read and what we're analyzing here, where it's just like, okay, well, he's not completely putting this out himself. So, I can't blame him for wanting to sign, though, in now times, you kind of say to yourself, if you can sign with someone, why? What for what? If you can make a song and just put it out there and already have the licensing and everything all good together, and you're getting all the residuals, what do you need a label for? But yes, as far as reviewing for About.com in November 2010, yeah, it was rooted in R&B. Yeah, it got a B plus. Like, it didn't do bad. Like, it was a good album. I think that people, again, didn't get to fully embrace it at the time that it was released, and that happens a lot with marketing and sales. And it's unfortunate because, like I said, people be worrying about, well, why is an album not in the top 10? Why is an album not in the top 20? Why is it even in the top 40? Well, you got to think of the timing of when artists that you guys may be looking forward to and loving. Let's rewind real quick. They said November 30th. Not to even bring up Nicki, but she released her album literally a week before this for Pink Friday. I think that, there was Rihanna that was already out. There was a couple of artists that were already out in 2010. So I know that there was certain artists that were out that, were already shining over artists that were peaking in, is what I'm trying to say. But yes, let's get into the track list. So track 1 is Sure Thing. Track 2 is All I Want Is You featuring J. Cole. Track 3 is Girl with the Tattoo. Interlude. Track 4, Pay Me. Track 5, Quickie. Track 6, Girls Like You. Track 7, Overload Interlude. Track 8, Hard Way. Track 9, Teach Me. Track 10, Hero. Track 11 is Vixen. Track 12, To the Moon. And track 13, My Peace. But yeah, overall, it wasn't like bad when it comes to the sense that it wasn't charting. Like, the album was definitely charting. It just wasn't selling or being seen enough. And I was 16 at this time, thoroughly. So, I'm kind of saying to myself, well, I would have heard a lot more artists on iTunes. And you kind of say to yourself, iTunes and Spotify was definitely peaking in as well, where it's just like they already had albums kind of displayed where it's just kind of like you had to search too. Like, all right, well, if it's not, on the main page, you'd have to literally go and see, like, within, like, the charts of what's being bought, like, who's in the top 50 of what's, rated and who's buying it. So I thank you guys so much for listening and watching, and I'll be back with more.